If you feel invisible, then this is the episode for you, especially if you're a woman. This is going to be an episode where we explore how femininity and being successful in business and in life and in relationships, those two aren't mutually exclusive. And if you feel like those are conflicting, you're going to have a couple of symptoms. So you're going to feel burnt out. You're going to feel stressed and like there's a struggle. You're going to feel like you can't be authentic and who you really are. And that is going to inhibit your rich experience of life. So today we're going to be talking about that topic. And I have a guest. Her name is Rebecca Gage. She is a transformational coach, speaker, author, and she is awesome. I've gotten to be on her podcast as well. She's had me as a guest. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hello, Rich Life. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. What an honor it is to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I like trading. We'll trade spaces
Yeah,
a little
absolutely.
bit.
Yes.
Yeah. And before we began recording, you were telling me a little bit about the difference that you want to make in the lives of other people. And really that difference, I'm calling it an impact journey. So
Mm,
it's this whole path that you can follow in your life. You can choose to follow, you don't have to. But I found Rebecca as one of those people who is following their path to make a difference in the lives of others. And specifically, she works with women who feel invisible, who are wanting to more own their femininity and their female presence.
yes, absolutely. And I appreciate that so much. I appreciate you saying that, sometimes it's not always easy to follow your impact journey. Mm. But I work with successful women who want to make a bigger impact but who struggle with remaining powerful and feminine. So I teach them tools and techniques in order to find their power through their feminine and not work against it so that they can become aligned in their purpose, awaken to their desires, and increase their magnetic presence.
Ooh,
Mm,
I, I'd
right?
like more magnetic presence. That sounds pretty good.
Right? Yes,
Yeah,
we all do.
yeah. Okay, cool. Well, and so if you're a first-time listener, this is going to be a really great episode for you because we're going to explore some of these topics and you can feel like you can resolve some of that conflict. We'll be talking a little bit about Rebecca's story, a little bit about some of the ideas that she has, some things that she's helped other people with in their transformation in their lives so that they can drop some of that conflict that they have in their life. And this is the Rich Life Realization Podcast. I'm your host, I'm Rich Life, and your vibrant life is a single thought away. So Rebecca, tell us a little bit about how you started on this impact journey that you how in the heck did you find this?
Yes. So, I am a mom. I have four children, two girls and two boys. And I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life since I was in college. I had my first cleaning business while in college and went on to launch other businesses. And, I always thought that I was doing all right. I always thought that, as far as like some of those boxes or check marks that you want to have in life. I felt like, I kind of had checked off some of those, but it wasn't until about 4 years ago that I had an incident. My oldest daughter almost died. And it was because of this situation. It honestly left me broken. Broken, like it shattered my life completely. And it caused me to look at my life in a way that I never had before. And as I did that, I started realizing that while on the surface, my life was okay, my life was pretty good, I began to realize that I had lost sight of my dreams and desires. I had lost sight of the things that really fueled me as a woman, as a human being. And, to put it simply, I had lost sight of myself. And it was, through this journey of healing and recovery and trying to get myself out of this place that I began to realize that I wasn't alone. While my story is unique to me in that, the finite details are unique to me, what I started to realize is that a lot of other women experience this in that, they lose themselves on the altar of other people, right? They lose themselves because they, serve their family, their kids and their husbands and their jobs and their careers. And often they start to kind of lose who they are, and it was through this journey that I really started to understand that I was going to have to change this trajectory that I was on, because I began realizing that if my life ended like this, I wouldn't feel fulfilled,
Mm.
and it was so hard because, being a mom, um, when I had my kids, it was it felt like my highest calling and one of my greatest gifts. And so I thought that was kind of it. I thought that, like, this is my purpose. And while that was partially true, it wasn't all the way true. There were other things in me that I was supposed to do
Mm.
here on this earth. And, it was through that kind of healing and recovery process that I was able to, um, get out of that pit. And it wasn't until much later that I started coaching. And, because I realized, that you have to share this with other people. If you can help them either get out of that pit or eliminate or help them to not get into that pit in the first place, then that is, you know, that's what it's all about. So, I began my coaching journey about 2.5 years ago, and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible to see women transformed, to see them awaken to their desires again, to see them come to life again, to see them align in their purpose and increase their magnetic presence. It honestly is a pinch me kind of uh situation. So yeah, so that's my story and how I came to be.
When you're speaking to a lot there too, a lot about motherhood, parenthood. I'm a brand new dad, so I have a 1 month old. And I don't know if you noticed, I am a dude, so I don't have this full experience of what it means to be in that feminine presence and lose some of that as being this mother, as being this worker. But that's why I'm here to listen.
Mm,
I'm here to understand. And the other great thing is I want to help more people express on their journeys, to express themselves. And it sounds like for you there was this ache, and I tell people all the time that everyone has an ache to make a difference, to guide people in the way that you're guiding people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be guiding people, But I think that we all have this desire, this dormant desire that we can ignore or distract ourselves away from, but that is present, and that when we find it and when we reveal it, we can move towards it like you have done.
Mhm. Yes, I totally agree. I think, this desire to want to feel like you're contributing to
Mm,
the overall good, I think is innate in all of us. And, I think probably part of the reason why, we see disease and addiction and poverty and relationship issues and things like that is sometimes those things, those desires being dormant,
mm.
and not even allowing ourselves to go there, so
Yeah, yeah, we can miss out. We can cover them up because I think everybody has it, but you might not be expressing it. You might not even be able to hear it over the noise of your life.
and for me being a mom, it was again, when I had my oldest daughter, I just remember thinking like I had never experienced this type of unconditional love. I had never experienced this before. And so I knew that I wanted to give this child the best of my ability. But what I didn't understand is that I couldn't forego my own desires in doing that. Right. And
Mm.
so for a lot of years, I've been in the personal development space for a lot of years. I mean, when I was in college, all my other friends were partying or doing whatever, and I was watching Oprah. Like, that was my thing because I was just like, this is so good. And I discovered Brene Brown early on, and just love her. The vulnerability is your superpower. And but she would always say, you can't love someone else more than you love yourself. And I just remember I would argue with her, and say bullshit because I love my kids way more than I love myself, and I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong. And it wasn't until, that situation with my daughter that it was like, it just hit me upside the head. Like, this is true. You have to fulfill your needs as well as the people around you. You have to love yourself. You have to honor those desires that are sometimes dormant. And again, because I had found such a big I don't even know what to say, but with mothering, with being a mother, I'd felt such a big call there that I thought that would just be it, right? And it wasn't. And for a long time I noticed, that some of these issues that I was having were kind of going on in my life, but I was ignoring them, right? This feeling kind of unfulfilled and like, why do I feel like this? I should be happy. My life is great. All of the things. And I just ignored it for so long. So I think for, a lot of women, it can just because we have, kind of that nurturing side, maybe more so than men, not more so. And I don't mean it like that, but it's easy for us to lose ourselves.
Mm,
Versus men. Like my husband, he is so good at maintaining his foundation. Even when we had all of our kids, he was so good at still, you know, doing the things that he loves. Whereas me, I would sacrifice those, right? Me,
mm.
oh, it doesn't matter if I'm not, if I don't have a hobby or if I'm not talking to my friends or if I'm not doing this. It doesn't matter that I eat last and I eat everyone's leftovers, right? Like, I mean, it can really, if we're not careful, women can fall into this very easily, I think. So,
Yeah, where they're not taking care of themselves. They're putting other people first. And in a way that is, it's very, you think it's being very selfless,
yes,
but
yes, it's
actually
Good thing, right?
It's actually kind of selfish because you are the one that is saying, I want to be needed.
Mm,
That is the selfishness that lays inside this selfless acts,
mhm,
is that we say, I want to be needed, I want to be required. And when we can kind of let go of that and take care of ourselves first and really listen to what our needs, because I think a lot of people, what they're doing is they're so focused in their attention on other people's needs that they are so blind, like you were talking about, to their own.
mhm. Yes, I think that is so true. And what a way to make a shift around this idea of it is actually selfish, and
Mhm.
if you make that shift in your mind, and when you see it that way, it makes sense then. Okay, yes, I can't love my neighbor more than I love myself, or I can't pour into someone else more than what is in my cup, and that's an interesting little shift there.
Yeah, yeah. Once you are able to really hear and listen to yourself, you're going to be hearing some of these things that have been telling you for a long time, like you found. And you're going to it because I what I like to talk about sometimes is that we can start out on a path. And if we're 1 degree off, it's not that big of a deal in the beginning.
Right. Until
Yeah,
the
you're like, oh, I'm going in pretty much the right direction. We're good. But the further and further you get into it,
Mhm.
the further and further away that 1 degree of difference makes. And it's only going to be maybe a centimeter or millimeter. But if you travel for miles and miles, the gap is going to be miles wide. And you're going to be kind of in unknown territory where you're feeling and you're getting these signals of, oh my gosh, where am I?
Mhm.
And you corrected that. You said, I need to turn this way.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that 1 degree of separation in, 20 and 40 years starts to
Mhm,
really then add up. And I think, what's kind of interesting about all of this is, for women, it starts out in the beginning that we do feel like we're being selfless and we're giving, to the needs of the people around us. And
mhm,
you start to lose that connection with ourself, right? And this is one of the probably the most predominant thing I talk about in my coaching is to reestablish this connection with yourself, because often for women, it's that they've ignored that for so long that they don't even know, you know, what it is that they like, yet
mhm,
alone yet, what they love, and so it really becomes kind of this idea of starting at the very beginning foundation. I remember, during all of this, and when I went through this really, really hard situation, my husband was so worried about me, and rightly so. Like, I was really, really, really depressed. I was really in a dark place. And, he would say things to me like, why don't you go for the weekend and go do what you love? And I honestly remember thinking, like, I don't even know what that would be.
mhm,
Right? I had gotten that degree of separation had gotten so great that it wasn't just like, "Oh, I don't know what my purpose is here on this earth." It was like, "I don't even know what I want to wear. I don't know what I like to eat. I could tell you everything about my kids. I could tell you everything about everyone else, like my husband and my dog and my neighbors and my coworkers and all the people around me." But it so it became kind of this exercise of, you know, what do I even like?
Mm,
Even know. I mean, I just did a podcast recording and I was sharing this there, but some things remained constant, right? Like some things like I really love to read. I love fashion. I love to shop. There were some things that were there, but as far as like this deeper meaning and deeper purpose, that degree of separation had gotten so great that I didn't know who I was at all. Like, so I think that is, unfortunately, a lot of women find themselves there, you know, and that was kind of my big aha moment, was understanding that, like, wait a minute, this is not just isolated to me and my story. This is actually a lot of women, you know, and a
mm.
lot of career women, you know, start to sacrifice who they are to, you know, the needs of their career and climbing that ladder of success. And it's a sneaky little thing, you know.
You don't notice.
You
You don't
don't
notice the until you're way far off. Yeah.
know until you've had that major midlife crisis and you're
Hmm.
if you're going to live through it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's incredible. Tell me more about that self-discovery that you went through, and also that you help your clients go through.
so again, it's, you know, learning to get quiet enough
Mm,
to listen. Because again, when that degree of separation is so big, you know, often we have glossed over that voice inside so much. Like it starts out small, right? It starts out small, like I don't know, I can't think of a great example when my kids were little, but you know, just was feeding everybody else before I fed myself,
mhm,
or you know, oh, my kids like this, and so I'll just eat that too, or you know, all the small decisions throughout the day just kind of added up to where, you know, I wasn't listening to that voice. And it takes practicing sitting in silence until you hear that voice again. And, you know, it's like a muscle, or it's like any new activity or anything like that, that the more you use it, the greater it gets and the stronger it becomes. And the reverse, or the opposite, is also true. The more you don't listen to that voice, then the
mm,
quieter it becomes. And I think that's where, you know, we're talking about that degree of separation. So, you know, it's getting still enough to even hear and to even listen some of those desires. And a lot of times, if that degree of separation has become really, really great, then it's simple things like, what do I want to eat for lunch?
mm,
Then waiting until you hear that answer, waiting until you feel like um, you know, and then it's just working that muscle over and over again. Okay, what do I want to do tonight? You know, when somebody comes to you with a question or a favor that they want to ask you or something like that, you can pause and you can wait and you can answer from the place of like, what is it that I actually want? You know, when your kids are coming at you, you know, from all different directions on any given moment, you know, and you're just answering, yeah, you know, to all these different things, and there's so many different pulls on your life. It just, you have to um, really slow down in order to listen for those answers. So then, you know, you just build it up. So then once you can, you know, say, you know, what my response is to this person or this request or this favor, then, you know, we can take it to bigger questions like, what is my purpose? What do I want to do in this life? What am I put here to do? And then you wait
mm.
for those answers. You know, it's just, it's that um working those muscles again to kind of strengthen that part of yourself.
Hmm. You said the magic words, which was to quiet down, because that is incredible wisdom, because you can actually hear your wisdom when you're quiet. And one of the most beautiful things is to recognize, to discover, oh my gosh, I have in the moment wisdom that's available to me all of the time. And it can help guide me in little decisions where it's just not even a big deal. Like when it doesn't feel like a decision, that means you are more aligned with your wisdom. And it can guide you on this journey of discovery, this impact journey. And also the other caveat is you don't have to go on an impact journey to have a beautiful life.
Mhm.
You can have a beautiful life without it. And you can also have such a wonderful, rich experience of life expressing that, expressing that wisdom through you so that it speaks.
Yes, I totally agree. You know, it can be hard to get back to that stillness and learn to listen.
Mhm.
It gets easier. It's, you know, just like anything, the first time you do it, it's hard. And then the more you do it, the stronger it becomes, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, and there was something that you said in that that was so good, and I was going to speak on, but I don't remember what it was. Uh,
No worries, no worries.
I know what it was. It was about
Mm,
the alignment piece. And so, you know, it's learning to listen to that voice, even on those small decisions, because even when you're out of alignment with, say, what do you want to eat for lunch, or some of those minute details of your life, the things that seemingly have no impact. Again, the more that you don't live in alignment, even in those small decisions, then the greater that disconnect becomes.
mhm.
Then you start to feel like I am compromising with I started out compromising with my food, and now I'm compromising with my time, and then I'm compromising with my purpose and my mission here on this earth. Right? So it's really important, even those small seemingly minute details, that you honor yourself and that you honor your desires.
Mhm.
You know, I talk a lot with my clients about, you know, it's those desires that lead you ultimately to your purpose. And so often as women, we think that, you know, to follow our desires is wrong or somehow bad. And you know, it's interesting being a mom of boys and girls. Um, you know, because boys, for whatever reason, whether it's nature or nurture, I still cannot tell you. I would say probably nature. I don't know. Um, it's not though, but you know, their ability to remain in integrity to who they are in their desires, for whatever reason, it's easier. And I don't know if you can relate to this or not, Rich, but you know, I feel like for women, we're almost taught that if we follow our desires and we don't, you know, follow the desires of our children, for example, that is, you shouldn't do that, you know, and we're taught this, that we have to um, discount our desires in order to um, be a good mom or a good wife or a good whatever. And you know, my husband is the perfect example because he is like the king of hobbies.
Me too.
Men do, they do. job. I'm like, you guys need to give us lessons. Truly, because we don't know how to maintain this. So I definitely encourage you to remind your wife. I'm sure you're like the best husband ever. But remind your wife to fit in those her desires.
Mhm.
It's so important because for whatever reason, it's really easy for us women to forego those and
Mm.
just like, oh, it's not important. Oh, my needs don't matter. Oh, society says I shouldn't, want that, or I shouldn't do, whatever. And so, following your desires is really important because it will lead you ultimately to bigger things, your purpose and
Mhm.
the reason why you're put here on this planet and, all of that.
Yeah, it's it's important to express yourself in a big way, but not let small thinking get in your way.
So true.
And even in the little things, even in discovering something, some small passions, is a part of a rich life.
And I think a lot of times for women, this creativity, we can find that in raising our kids. We
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
It feels like an extension of ourself. And yet, if that's the only path that we have for creativity, then that's probably where, you'll um, need to find some other things and find some other ways to express that creativity and to allow that expression to come through. I
mm,
mean, but it is, easy to find that in our children.
yeah, yeah,
I'm sure for men too, but
yeah. And kids are great. The great thing about kids is that and when we were kids, we didn't have a lot of overthinking about our passions. We were just like, I love trucks, or I love princesses, or I love, you know, really cool rocks. There wasn't a lot of like, I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't do that, or we didn't catch that yet. We didn't make it a habit. We didn't borrow it.
so true. I mean, to see them in their, you know, in that space is one of the most beautiful things to see them,
Mhm.
you know, just be able to create and worlds and all the things that just uninhibited
Yeah,
is beautiful, and we can just learn so much from that.
yeah. And it sounds like you help people reconnect with that in themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm, cool. Well, I'm so glad that you're on this impact journey, and such a pleasure having you on the podcast. I know that people are going to listen to this and they're going to be like, I need to connect with Rebecca. How can they reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me on all the social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Rebecca Gage. Instagram, I am Rebecca Gage. You can also head to my website, RebeccaGage.com, and you can see kind of what I offer and the different ways that you can work with me. You can also book a call. I offer a free complimentary connection call. I love to, talk with women and hear what their goals are and see kind of how that would how I could work with them if that's a good fit. I also have a really awesome freebie if you're interested in. It's a guided visualization. If you feel like you're struggling with, knowing where you're going or what you're doing or, your purpose, this can give you some clarity around that. So you can find that, I think. Trying to think if that is updated on my website. I actually don't think that freebie is. Oh no, it should be. It's on my website. It's also on my social media If you go to my personal page, you can click that freebie link, and it's just a free audio download that you can listen to that guided visualization that will really help you just start to think about some of the things that you are supposed to do and the ways that you're supposed to show up here on this earth. So
Cool. Thanks for joining me today. This was the Rich Life Realization podcast. And I don't ask for a lot. I don't put this, I'm not going to put any like sponsorships on this unless Nike comes and talks to me or something like that. Or, heck, I'll be open to Starbucks, maybe. We'll see. But if you got something out of this, please share it with somebody who you think it would resonate with. And your rich life is a single thought away.